Right, going to be removing the carbs from this XJ. I don't know what's the best way to remove those carbs, so because I don't know the bike really that well. I'm just going to do it the way I think it's the best way. So I'm going to remove the fuel tank. I've already removed the battery tray because I think it might make it easier. I'll remove the airbox as well, and then I think it's going to be just pulling out this surge tank and then removing the carbs. Alright peeps, so as you can see I've pulled out the fuel line of that filter and then the second fuel line there, which connects to the fuel tap, and that will allow me to get this tank off. Right, if you want to pull off the airbox, there's going to be two securing little tabs. So you need to pull this bracket like this so it comes off those securing bits, and you pull it up, and that's your air filter coming out. I'm going to remove that part here, and that's going to be easy because it's only held by a couple of screws here. We also have that screw there, so that needs to be removed. Okay, up next there's going to be, it's difficult to show it, but there's going to be that tube connecting the surge tank and that air filter element, so that needs to be removed, and it's held by that clamp there. So I'll just loosen up the clamp and then that whole part can be pulled away. Alright, so as you can see that is all loose up here, so now we need to just take that clamp off and remove that hose there, and then at the bottom of it there's going to be another clamp here, so once that is loosened that whole part will come out. Folks, so have a look. All that comes out. Right peeps, I'll now be trying to remove that surge tank, or plenum if you will. So it's going to have two clamps on each throat of the carburetor. So all those have to be loosened up, and then you loosen up that clamp at the bottom here. And also down there you see I've plugged that intake pipe with a rag just in case, because I don't want to drop anything there. So yeah, I hope now I'm going to be able to pull it off. Alright folks, so what I've done, I've pulled the surge tank up, so this came up. This came out from that boot there, and then I think I'm just going to have to pull it backwards and it will come out. Yep, there we go. I think it's almost freed up, but now I've got this fuel pump here which is stopping it from moving, so I need to remove the fuel pump first. Alright, so now we need to disconnect this plug here. Right, so now it's just removing of that hose here, and the fuel pump can be removed. There we go, fuel pump removed. Right, so I think I'm now can just pull it out. What else is stopping it? So I just moved this wiring loom away, and now it should, in theory, just come out because it's almost free. There we go. There we go. And there's going to be a hose here. Can you see this? That hose there needs to be detached as well. Right, so it seems to me that that part of the surge tank needs to be removed, and then it will all just slide out on the side. So let's do that. Alright peeps, so I've removed all the bolts, and now that part comes out, and this will show your reed valves and your blow-off valve. Right, let's see if this comes out any easier now. Right, came out. Right, so quick inspection of your reed valves. So you see they open when you push like that. And then this is your blow-off valve, and there's a diaphragm here, so if you press it on the other side, it moves. Here at the bottom of your surge tank is going to be the drain valve. Right peeps, so let me just show you what I've done. So here at the bottom of the surge tank there's going to be this drain valve. It will actually look like this because it's covered like that. So I disassembled it and I figured out that inside there, you see there's two little holes through which the excess fuel drains from the surge tank, and all that was just packed with gunk. So I've cleaned it out. And maybe this had something to do with this bike not running right, I don't know. But yeah, always worth checking. So just squeezing that in. So I'm going to be removing the fuel pressure regulator here. So to get it off, you need to use an 18mm spanner to get that nut loosened up and removed. And obviously you need to get off all the hoses from here. Alright, and then it's just a case of unscrewing this. And the fuel pressure regulator comes off. Folks, about to remove the carbs, so let me just show you what I've done. Here I unscrewed that little screw just to get the choke cable out. I also pulled out the clutch cable from this hanger here, and each carb obviously will have this clamp here securing it to the cylinder head boot. So all four have been loosened up, and I think at that point I'll be able to pull them out. We shall see. Also there's going to be this hose here that connects carburetor number 2. There's going to be a pipe coming out from it with the boost pressure sensor. So just pull this out. There we go. They're almost out. Now it's just a matter of these cables here. What you need to do is, hopefully you can see this, you're going to have to press on this here. Alright. So everything goes up and you're gonna get a slack and you'll be able to remove that cable. There we go. And that way we've got the carbs out. Peeps, so XJ650 Turbo carbs. I took the float balls off, and as you can see those are super clean, so there was no crap in there, which is very surprising because the fuel system was somewhat contaminated in my view. I've pulled out all the main jets and they're clean as well. So the outer jets are 127.5, and the inner jets, those are the main jets, are 132.5. So those are richer, those are bigger than those. I've also pulled out the pilot jets, and all of those are 37.5 and clean. Yeah, so the floats bounce off nicely. I've also pulled out all the diaphragms, and they seem to be all in one piece and no problem with them at all. So yeah, I'm just gonna check the float height, which allegedly should be 21mm. Right peeps, so that will do for the inspection. All float bolts are super clean, jets are clean, diaphragms operate nicely. Yeah, so time to put them back in. Alright peeps, so have a look at this. This is a little check valve, fuel check valve from this XJ650 Turbo, and I've disassembled it to rebuild it because there is a little O-ring here on that piston at the top, so that will need to be replaced. And there is also another O-ring that sits in between the parts that join, and that is pretty flat, so that needs to be replaced as well. But I've also noticed that there is a spring that diagram for that part shows, and it's actually not there, so my check valve is basically incomplete. So I got myself this rebuild kit, and I'm going to replace all the parts needed to get it working. Right, so the 3 parts I'm going to need for this rebuild is that little O-ring here, another gasket that sits in the middle of the check valve, and obviously that spring, which is completely missing in my check valve. And the gasket gets in here. And now the little spring. Right peeps, so I've put the new O-ring at the top of the piston. Now that goes inside the check valve here. And now we just assemble the check valve. So the check valve is rebuilt. Let's put it on the bike. Reinstallation of the fuel check valve is extremely easy. As you can see, it's held there by just one little screw, so getting it hand tight is just enough. Then it's just a case of putting back on all your fuel hoses and also connecting the vacuum hose. This is the black hose near the frame that is plugging into the plenum chamber. Now installing the fuel pump goes in easily. Just be careful not to rip off the hoses that power the fuel pump. The fuel pump is secured there by a little metal bracket which is held by 2 screws. It all takes just a moment and it's super easy to reinstall. Okay folks, so I've drained the fuel from the tank, and look what came out of it. So obviously that fuel tank has to be properly cleaned, so for that reason I'm going to use Evaporust, leave it marinating for 24 hours, and we'll take it from there. I'm going to also remove the fuel sender because I want to properly clean the tank inside. So before I put Evaporust in, I want to make sure that it's all dry, so I'll get better effect of removing crap from it. There we go. That's your fuel sender unit. So here I removed the fuel tap, and that is because Evaporust might destroy the seals in it. To prevent leaks, I'm going to use this piece of rubber and this metal bracket, which I'm going to screw in those 2 holes that normally are there for the fuel tap. And that way I'm going to be able to basically pour Evaporust in the fuel tank without any worries that it's going to leak. I've done it on the other tank, on the other motorcycle, and it worked really so well. I've also put a little bit of RTV on it just to help it seal a bit better, but I'm not entirely sure if RTV does a good job here or not. So here it is, Evaporust goes in. Unfortunately there was a little bit of a bummer with that one because it seems to me I bought a fake product.
A few moments later.
So after marinating the fuel tank in Evaporust for probably 72 hours, flushed it now with petrol and assembled it back again with the fuel sender in, and it's ready for installation, being nice and clean. Okay, I think it's probably enough of waffling for this episode, so please join me next week for more investigative work on XJ650 Turbo. Thanks for watching, until next time.